had a phenomenal weekend, everybody. It is Monday, November 10th, 2025. My name is Kevin Smith. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Loud Majority Live. We got a jam-packed show for you guys today. The Showdown is just about over, with Speaker of the House Mike Johnson calling the House back into session to get this damn thing over with, which better happen because I'm going to Palm Beach on Thursday, and I promise you, I really don't want to wait at Kennedy Airport. I absolutely do not want to wait at Kennedy Airport. Democrats losing their ever-loving minds. Democrats continue to lose their ever-loving minds over the fact that Chuck Schumer bent the knee, which he did. I don't really care what anybody says, but Chuck Schumer got exactly what he wanted out of this, and of course that was a Democratic win in the past election. Also, I'm going to show you one of the most disgusting videos I've ever seen in my entire life, because why the hell not? Why the hell not? But before we get started, guys, do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. We are rocking. We are rolling. I got a special announcement coming up in just a second. You're not going to want to miss out on that. Before we get to that, guys, do me a favor. Head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. That is the best way to support this show and everything we've got going on over here. And we've got some big news here, baby. We've got some big news. Actually, two pieces of big news. I just realized it's two pieces of big news. Oh, yeah. The best way you can support the show is by heading over to loudmajorityusa.com and picking up some of our phenomenal merchandise. Over there, we've got a lot of stuff on sale at the moment that you're going to want to pick up. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, dress your kid up, make him look nice, send him to school looking all kinds of handsome in the Loud Majority gear, guys. Use promo code RUMBLE to get 20% off everything on the website. So, big announcement number one. I'm sorry for the short notice. But this is just kind of what happens when you speak on college campuses to my local audience. This Wednesday, let me make this a little bit bigger. This Wednesday, baby, Kevin Smith is headed back to Stony Brook University, where it all began. I'll be speaking at the College Republican Club at Stony Brook University from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Get your tickets in the comments of this video if you're watching in the local area and you want to come on down, get them before they sell out, because unfortunately, even though the kids had requested the 3,000-person theater, we got a lecture hall. So, guys, the link is in the comments of this video. Let me pop it up onto, let me put it into the live chat at the moment so you guys can see it. For the non-Long Island audience, unfortunately, the school has made it almost impossible for us to stream the speech and the Q&A, which is always the most fun part of the whole thing. It's always the most fun part. However, I will be recording it and we'll be showing it live here at 3 p.m. on Thursday, to make sure you guys keep it locked in here for that one. It's where I went to school, so I'm pretty excited about it. Thursday, I'll be showing that on Thursday, but for the local audience, for the people watching here on Long Island, you guys can get your tickets. The comments, all the links are in the comments. I think it's $5 a ticket, which I think goes directly to the College Republicans. I don't get any of it. So, guys, get your tickets today. That's Wednesday, November 12th, 2025, back at Stony Brook University. Let's see if anybody can answer this question. How many local people we have in the chat? What is a sea wolf? What is a sea wolf anyway? Let's see if anybody can get the answer to that one. I think I'm going to hold off on surprise number two. Because I still have to talk to Jeremy about it. So that'll be some good stuff, but very good stuff. Very good stuff indeed. Guys, once again, do me a favor. Hit the thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. Let's go. Let's pop this live chat up onto the screen. Say hello to everybody. I hope you guys had a phenomenal weekend. Hope you guys had a great weekend with a bunch of news breaking over the course of the last several, like 12 hours or so. About 12 hours or so. Creative, did you get a ticket? Is that what you're saying? My email said the tickets were free. Yes, they are free for students. I think they're $5 for the general public, which goes towards the club, the Stony Brook University College Republicans. So make sure you guys get your tickets before they sell out because they decided to give us a ridiculous room. No, that is not a Seawolf. It is not a submarine. That is from, it's an inside joke for all the Stony Brook people. It seems like Creative probably knows what it is, but won't say it. How's everybody doing? Broccoli, Kiss, how are you? Watching over there on my Rumble chat. How's it going, Siobhan? Good stuff, good stuff. Jeanette, how are you? Very, very good stuff. Very, very good stuff. It's going to be a good time. Sly, what's happening? Alex, how are you? Very, very good. Very, very good stuff. Yeah, I think they changed that at the last minute. No. Some people don't. Some people don't get the Stony Brook joke. Some people don't get the Stony Brook joke. If you went there, you'd understand. If you went there, you'd understand. So, it's like Andy from The Office. If you don't go to Cornell, you don't really understand it. That kind of thing. So, the government shutdown is all but coming to an end with 8 Democrats breaking with the party to reopen the government. This comes as millions and millions of people. At risk of losing their SNAP benefits. All the moderate Democrats, which I find to be interesting, that many of the hardliners in the party still continue to not break with reality in order to reopen the government. Once again, I'd just like to say I'm very happy that we kept the filibuster in place. Why? Because now Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. won't become states when the Democrats eventually take power, which they will. Once again, if you want to get rid of the filibuster, you absolutely have good reason for that. I absolutely understand it, and I get it. However, my question to you would be, do you want Senate Majority Leader AOC to have that same sort of power? That question seems to fall on deaf ears. Julio Sanchez, what's happening, brother? Looking new in the chat. I'm liking it. Poso for Hope, how are you? Very good stuff. My question would be, do you want AOC to have that sort of power? I would say, probably not. And they have got some people steaming mad. Here is Senator Larry David, who apparently still has not bought a comb. He's oh boy. Somebody better check Bernie Sanders' blood pressure because he's hot.
And that the way the process has been developed, it is impossible.
Seriously, the man has 3 houses. How can he not afford a comb?
To delay the votes that are going to take place. And if that were not the case, that is certainly what I would do. Because I think it is important that the American people fully understand what is being voted on today. Everybody in America knows that our current healthcare system is broken. It is dysfunctional. It is cruel. It is by far the most expensive healthcare system in the world and the only healthcare system of any major country that does not guarantee healthcare to all people as a human right, covering every man, woman, and child. We are unique in that respect. And yet tonight, what this Senate is about to do is make a horrific situation even worse. So let's be clear what this vote is about. If this vote succeeds, over 20 million Americans are going to see at least a doubling in their premiums in the Affordable Care Act. In my state of Vermont and throughout this...
It turns out if you just put your hands up in the air and you yell really loud, people still don't listen. Now, Bernie Sanders, maybe this is why no Republican voted for the Affordable Care Act. Do you know why? Because it turns out it's not affordable. It turns out that Obamacare sucks so badly that the only way you can get people to purchase it is if you pay them to. That is not affordable. And first off, when the government subsidizes health care, all that does is make health insurance companies and healthcare providers continue to raise the price of health care because they know that the government is going to cover the back end of things. If we had a true free market system and hospitals and doctors could compete for your business, then that would bring prices down like everything else in the world. But Bernie Sanders, who apparently has not yet figured out that there's a word H in the word human. It's not a human, it's a human, just saying. And that's from a guy who says the word ask incorrectly. But Democrats are freaking out. Democrats are panicking. Old Chucky Schumer is watching his power slowly and slowly disintegrate.
Premiums will spike by thousands of dollars a month. Millions will lose insurance. Democrats have sounded the alarm. We have demanded for months to meet with the Republican leadership. But Republican leaders refuse to even discuss the issue, let alone negotiate it. We've asked them to meet in the summer and throughout the shutdown. To this day, Republicans still say no. We asked President Trump to step in and meet with us to deliver lower health care for Americans, and instead, Donald Trump has taken the American people hostage, from cutting off food aid to hungry families and vets and seniors and kids, to manufacturing flight cancellations, to cutting off home heating aid, while he builds a billion-dollar ballroom with gold-plated toilets. Therefore, I must vote no. This health care crisis is so severe, so urgent, so devastating for families back home that I cannot in good faith support this CR that fails to address the health care crisis. But let me be clear, however this vote turns out, this fight will and must continue. Democrats must fight because millions of families will lose health care coverage. We must fight because children who are dying of cancer will not get health care coverage. We must fight because a senior citizen cannot afford to pay $25,000 a year just for health insurance. We must fight to keep millions from financial ruin. And make no mistake about it, the American people know who is inflicting this health care trauma on them.
Now, he yammers on and yammers on. First off, Chuck, I want to tell you something in case you don't know this. Nobody takes your arguments very seriously when you have to read them off of a script. At least Bernie Sanders, for all of his arm waving, at least I know that he actually believes what he's saying. Because he's just talking. But just waving your arms in the air like Larry David doesn't help. Nobody believes this guy when he talks. Nobody believes him when he talks. Yeah, healthcare premiums are going to go up because that's how Democrats arranged it. They're the ones who voted for Obamacare. They're the ones who 3 years ago put the provision in that would make the subsidies sunset right now. But they don't want to tell you that. They don't want to tell you that. As more and more Democrats cave to this shutdown. And the funny thing that I find about the ones that did eventually cave is that none of them are up for re-election next year. As we know, vote trading in the Senate is a long and tried and true process. What is vote trading? Well, somebody who will agree on something now, but it may be a controversial issue, will sometimes go to somebody who is not up for re-election, and they will say, you vote for this now. That way, 4 years from now, people will have forgotten, and we can trade a vote down the road. It's one of the most corrupt things that they do in the Senate, but that's just sort of how the Senate has operated the entire time. It's not good. But now that it has happened, Johnson has called the House back into session, because even though the Senate has procedurally voted to reopen the government still remains shut down, as now the bill must go back to the House to be voted on, where, look, we'll see. Thomas Massie will vote against this. Will there be any other Misos Caucus people who vote against this? This is not a panacea to the end of this shutdown. It's a great first step, but Johnson has called the House back into session in order to get this going.
So, air travel has been grinding to a halt in many places. And as of Sunday, nearly half of all domestic flights and U.S. flights were either canceled or delayed. And it's a very serious situation. So I'm saying that by way of reminder. I'm stating the obvious to all my colleagues, Republicans and Democrats in the House. You need to begin right now returning to the Hill. We have to do this as quickly as possible. Now, we look forward to the government reopening this week so Congress can get back to our regular legislative session. We have a lot of business to do, as you all know, and we will be working in earnest. There'll be long days and long nights here for the foreseeable future to make up for all this lost time that was imposed upon us. I want to close with something that's important. I think it's important to say that this is genuine. I mean this sincerely. We applaud the 7 Senate Democrats and 1 independent senator who did the right thing. They decided to put principle over their personal politics. And my urgent plea of all my colleagues in the House, and that means every Democrat in the House, is to think carefully, pray, and finally do the right thing and help us to bring an end to the pain of the American people. This has gone on too long. Too many people have suffered, and it's long overdue. That's the update I wanted to give you this morning. There are probably lots of questions, but I'm going to get a lot of my own questions answered later today, so stay tuned for more.
Yeah,
Thanks.
you know, Mike, but that's not really what they did. Because anybody who understands politics knows that the party who is in power is traditionally blamed for the Democratic shutdown. This has been going on for so long that even Scott Bessent pointed it out to George Stephanopoulos on his own show when he reminded George that back in the 90s, during the government shutdown, George Stephanopoulos said that the party in power, said that the people shutting down the government were terrorists.
George, the best way to do it, and look, you were involved in a lot of these in the 90s, and you basically called the Republicans terrorists, and you said that it is not the responsible party that keeps the government closed. And so what we need is 5 brave, moderate Democratic senators to cross the aisle, because right now it is 52 to 3. 5 Democrats can cross the aisle and reopen the government. That's the best way to do it, George.
I can disagree with you about the history there, but we don't need a history lesson right now.
George, let's talk about
what's happening right now.
If you want, I've got all your quotes here. George.
I'm sure you do. But let's talk about the situation right now.
Read your book. So you got one purchase on Amazon this week, and that's very much what you said.
Oh my God, Scott, really? When I watched the clip, I didn't see it all the way to the end. When he said, at least you got 1 purchase on Amazon, really, Scott, turn that knife in the back. But he's got his quotes. And that is what is the difference with this administration. They actually push forward. They push back. You're not just going to, because Democratic establishments have been in power for, establishment Democrats, have been in power for so long that I think some of them are beginning to forget the things that they said when they were actually the people in power. This administration is so new that we don't actually have quotes from them from the 1990s when they were trying to get things done the way Democrats did under, say, the Clinton administration, where those people refused to go away. Where they refused to go away. Someone like George Stephanopoulos. So yes, he called the people keeping the government closed back in the 90s terrorists. But we know why. We know why Democrats did this, and we know it for a fact because this exact plan was on the table 8 days ago. But Democrats voted against it. And why did they vote against it? Well,
how are Republicans going to use leverage in their fight with Democrats when the Democrats are actually the ones with the upper hand in the eyes of voters?
Oh, I'm sure Democrats will be more than happy to open the government now. The election's over. I mean, part of the reason they shut it down was to get through tonight.
I would
suspect they'll be glad to open it up by the end of the week.
Adam Schiff, he was like, hold the line.
AOC, there's lots of rumors of people wanting to open it.
Look, I don't see what is the incentive for Democrats to back down when voters are basically saying Trump's not doing enough, it's the Republicans' fault, and then they basically handed the keys in this past election to the Democrats. Where's the leverage?
Again, these are blue states electing Democrats, not a shock. Democrats clearly wanted this shutdown to get through Election Day. I do think they are facing pressure from their internal coalitions. The unions, the air traffic controllers, the government employee unions are desperate to get the government back open. They're feeling a little bit of internal heat. But again, The election's now over. I'm sure tomorrow morning phones will start ringing and it'll be open soon enough. This was a political shutdown, and that's what they did, and now we're through the election.
Well, Scott Jennings, just in case anyone's curious, I'm Scott. If you're listening, can I get the lotto numbers? Because it turns out you have the ability to predict the future, or he was just an honest actor who knew exactly what this was the entire time. Now, I know many of you will say, but Kevin, that's Scott Jennings. We know what Scott's going to say. But it turns out over on MSNBC, they're starting to figure it out too.
It's strange, Dean, to go back to the original sort of part of this conversation of whether he is a good deal maker. I mean, in a way, it seems like the president is kind of getting what he wanted 40 days ago when all this started. He was out there saying that, oh, this is all about Democrats trying to give health care to illegal immigrants. He just said that to reporters moments ago, repeated that refrain that Democrats had actually very successfully pushed back against. Then there's all this energy. In the wake of the election on Tuesday, the president made remarks saying basically, wow, Republicans are being harmed by all of this, acknowledging that he was on his back foot. And now here he is winning again? How did he do it?
The Democrats, I don't understand how a Democratic senator goes, wow, we won really big. Let me cave now. I don't understand. That makes no sense to me.
Well, maybe to Anthony's point, if they were cynical, like if we wanted just to hold this out until we get through the election, and then after the election, we got the wins,
yeah, that's exactly what you did. That's exactly what you did, because you see, Democrats can't understand that it turns out their party is just as cynical as Republicans. Elected Democrats are just as cynical as elected Republicans, but the Democratic media establishment thinks that they are the moral ones and we are the immoral ones, that they ride on high while the rest of us are just out there searching for power. Meanwhile, it turns out that almost every elected official, no matter red or blue, yellow, white, green, or black, whatever the hell color you want to use, it turns out they are all of them are just as cynical. Every single one of them. And it's time for House Republicans to start getting on the front foot. I am so sick and tired of House Republicans playing defense when Democrats do their most radical things. Here was Steve Scalise actually beginning to fight back and using Democrats' own words against them.
Another Democrat said, Senator Ossoff's calculation is, quote, do I vote to open the government up and get crushed and can't raise a single dollar of low dollar money? Or do I vote to shut the government down and get $3 million from online fundraising? That's disgusting. Senator Ossoff is more concerned about getting low dollar donations from maybe some donor in California who's going to click on an email and give him $100 for his reelection. And so he's causing suffering on tens of thousands of people in his home state of Georgia. Senator Ossoff ought to send that tainted, dirty money back. If he's raised $3 million off of the shutdown, off of the suffering he's caused, just so that he can get some more money from radicals around the country, go look at his finance report during the shutdown. The low dollar donations that he's more concerned about getting than opening up the government, which is the right thing to do, because they're scared to death of their base, because they want to keep getting low dollar donations from the most radical members of the Democrat Party. That's what this is about. And we've been saying it, but now that Hill article truly exposed it.
I mean, look, the Democratic base is pissed off about this. And to be honest with you, if I were a Democratic voter, I would be pissed off about this too. Wait, you shut the government down over health insurance and then reopened the government and then didn't get the health insurance. There was quite literally no point to this entire thing. The only thing Democrats can actually scrape by with their voters on this particular topic is the fact that they brought back pay for furloughed workers, which was going to happen anyway. Republicans got almost everything of what they wanted, while Democrats got almost nothing, except for the fact that they won the election. That's the key. That's the key right there. It's about the election. It was always about the election. And as Scott Jennings said, I bet the phones are ringing off the hook today to open the government back up. Because many of these public sector unions that operate in Washington, D.C., in the DMV area, they are pissed that their workers are being furloughed. They're pissed that air traffic controllers have to drive for Uber just to stay alive. And you know what? I don't blame them for being mad. It wasn't us that shut the government down. We would have kept it open the entire time. We'd have kept it open the entire time. But Democrats, once again, bend the knee. Once again, bend the knee. Speaking of bending the knee, we're going to talk about Kathy Hochul in just a minute. Something tells me that I'm going to be spending a large portion of this show for the next year talking about this woman. Because speaking of absolutely no morals whatsoever. Speaking of no morals whatsoever, we've got Governor Kathy Hochul in New York. Luckily soon, we will have Governor Elise Stefanik. Very, very good. Very, very good. Before we get to that, here's Old Glory Bank.
When big banks decide who gets access to America's financial systems and who doesn't, who do you think gets left out? Middle Americans who proudly wave their pro-America values. Cancel culture in banking is corrosive. It limits your participation in a vibrant, free market economy. Fortunately, you can fight back. You now have the opportunity to invest in the bank that's investing in a fair American banking system, one based in freedom. Ownership in Old Glory Bank, the pro-America online bank, is here. Old Glory Bank is a full-service FDIC-insured bank that's the alternative to overreaching, un-American big banks. We stand for privacy, security, and liberty. We stand for freedom, family, faith, and the flag. We stand for all the values you stand for, and for the values big banks can't stand. So help keep banking in the hands of Main Street, not Wall Street. To invest in Old Glory Bank, go to oldglorybank.com.
Guys, reopening the government is not easy, but do you know what it is? Switching banks over to Old Glory Bank. Guys, head on over to oldglorybank.com. That's oldglorybank.com. Giddy up, let's go. Once again, guys, this Wednesday, I will be at Stony Brook University speaking to the Stony Brook College Republicans. Back where it all started, baby, back in 2015. It's when I graduated from college. Guys, the link is in the comments of this video. If you are local and you want to check it out, guys, head on over there. Pick up your tickets today. Very excited about that, guys. If you wouldn't mind, share the flyer out wherever it is you may be watching, and let's make this one big and bad. Once again, that's Wednesday night, Stony Brook University is that in Setauket? Port Jeff? Stony Brook? Three Village. Somewhere at the end of Nichols Road, whatever the hell that is where I'll be next Wednesday night, 7 p.m., check it out, guys, if you're looking to come on out. So let's talk about Kathy Hochul. Let's talk about Kathy Hochul, because I don't know if you guys know this or not. But an idiot was elected to be mayor of New York City in the last week. And he ran on a plane of all these big and glorious things. One of them being free busing. That all the buses in New York City would be fast. And they would be free. All right, let's get to the fast part. The reason why buses in New York City are slow is not because of the speed of the bus, but because of the traffic on 7th Avenue. So unless you plan to get rid of all the cars, there's really no way to speed up the buses. Dumbass. But now let's get to the free. Because it turns out, as I've been saying from the rooftops, but 23-year-olds in New York City go out of their way to ignore truth and facts. Zoran Mamdani cannot make the buses free. And not like, oh, he'll never do that. He can't do that. I mean, he doesn't have the power to make the buses free. Which we found out a day after he was elected. New York State Governor Kathy Hochul pushed back on Saturday against socialist Mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani's plan to make the MTA bus rides free, saying, I cannot set forth a plan that takes money out of a system that relies on fares and buses and subways, but we can find a path to make it more affordable. Here was Governor Eyebrows.
Well, I'm from Buffalo. We don't put up with a lot of crap. So I just want to set the stage that You know, you look at the history of people who've run multi-million-dollar ad campaigns to try and get me to change my position. I don't change my position. So I just want to put it out there. I respect people's opinions. I respect the proper place to convey them. And so I've said to people, I hear you. And that was important. But also, there's a time and place. And so that's all on that. No, I've had conversations on this trip, but many conversations, I'd say over the summer and the fall, that were important, that led to an understanding of what's in the realm of possibility, shared ambitions, but what is doable is the question. And so, no, we're aligned on so many of these issues. You know, I've made it clear where I have strong disagreements with issues that really do not pertain to, you know, the governance of New York City. I've said you need to get a police commissioner that people trust, who has a record of accomplishment to keep the trajectory that we're on right now, which is crime is going down. Crime is going down significantly. You don't say mission accomplished, but that is a great trend.
So, Governor Hochul, you could have said that 4 days ago. You could have said that 4 days ago. That's something Zohran Mamdani cannot do. But you didn't. You went out to Forest Hill Stadium and you just bent the knee to the most radical members of your base. Why? Because you, like Chuck Schumer, are worried about a primary in 2026. And you're going to get one. Quite possibly from the man who is currently standing behind her. Never mind from people like Richie Torres. Never mind from people like Hakeem Jeffries. Never mind from some DSA candidate that nobody has even heard of at this particular moment in time. Kathy Hochul will face a fractured Democratic Party. And for the love of God, I would really like to not have one on the Republican side. So if everybody could just remove head from ass, that would be great. If you know, you know. We finally have a strong candidate, and of course, it drives me crazy. It drives me crazy because here in New York, like many other major metropolitan cities, we have a standard topic to run on, and that is the soft on crime policies. I'm going to tell you a story. A horrific story. But it's going to break down exactly how flawed our criminal justice system is, okay? There is a man in Arizona who was facing 20 to 30 years in prison because he left his 2-year-old daughter in the back of a hot car in July in Tucson. It got to be about 110 degrees. The girl died. A horrific story. He then killed himself prior to being sentenced. He was looking at 20 to 30 years in jail. Now, I am not saying that this man should not have faced jail time for what he did. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, this was clearly not done on purpose. It was irresponsible. It was a mistake. He should face penalty for that, 1,000%. And there is nothing we as a society could do to this man that would be worse than what he did to himself. Now, contrast that, a guy who made a mistake, a big mistake, a deadly mistake, contrast that to a guy in New York City who has 4 felony convictions, who is let out of jail and then does this.
Breaking now on 12. Police say a 27-year-old is under arrest, accused of raping a 12-year-old girl inside of a housing complex in Williamsburg. Investigators say the attack happened Thursday, and that man is now facing a slew of charges. News 12's Rob Flax is in downtown Brooklyn with the latest. Rob, what have you learned?
Yeah, Amanda, we were standing here in downtown Brooklyn in front of the Child SVU Yeah, that's right. We're standing outside of the Child SVU building here in downtown Brooklyn, where 27-year-old Eric McMichael was taken out of the building and into a car headed for court moments ago. We want to show you that video. McMichael can be seen keeping his head low as he was walked out of the building. He faces charges of rape, burglary, sexually motivated, sex abuse of someone physically helpless, endangering the welfare of a child, and sex abuse of a victim under 14. All of this for attacking a 12-year-old girl in Williamsburg Thursday. Now, he was arrested at 146 Clay Street, which we're learning is a shelter. We're also learning he has 4 prior felony convictions, including for rape in 2019. He's also currently on parole for a burglary.
He already raped somebody, and they let him out. Now, let's contrast this, okay? You have a father in Tucson, Arizona, who made a mistake, a deadly mistake, a mistake that I very much doubt this guy's ever going to make again. 20 to 30 years in prison. This guy, 4 felony convictions, including rape, is let out and then does it again. I mean, the scales of justice here. What the hell are we doing? I'm not saying that the first guy shouldn't go to jail for an extended period of time. What I am saying is that I very much doubt that the first guy is going to leave a child in the backseat. I don't think he's a danger to society in the same way that a rapist is. You know how I know that? Because he did it again. While out on parole, so let me get this straight. Felony conviction for rape. Then gets rearrested for burglary. Out on parole, rapes somebody else. Maybe I've got maybe I've got the antidote, the solution wrong. But something's wrong here. Something's wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm whacked. Maybe it's me. It could be me. It could be me. I don't know. Chat, let me know what you think as we rockin', as we rollin' here, guys. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think, chat? Let's pop the live chat up on the screen. Something here. Something ain't working. I'm not saying that the first guy shouldn't do jail time. What I'm saying is that he made a horrific mistake that he'll probably, more than likely, 99% chance will never make again. He is facing 20 to 30 years in prison. And then a rapist is let out in order to do it again. I'm not saying that I have the antidote, right? What I'm saying here is something ain't working. Something ain't working. Natalie, 3 messages and it didn't go through. You're literally messaging now. I don't know what to tell you. Guys, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place before we keep rocking, before we keep rolling. Head on over to lfatv.us. That's lfatv.us. That's your home base, your mothership, your landing pad for all things LFA-TV related. Check out the LFA-TV store. And while you guys are there, consider becoming a monthly donor over at lfatv.us. That's the best way to support this network and everything we've got going on over here, guys. Go to lfatv.us. So let's talk about Nancy Pelosi. Let's talk about Nancy Pelosi, because as we discussed, she is not running for re-election. As many people call on people in Congress to pass the Pelosi Act, saying that you can't trade individual stocks while being a member of Congress. Now, I can't imagine why we would do that. Your average ETF, your average mutual fund is bringing in 10% year over year, which every one of you should be invested in. You can check out Old Glory Bank if you'd like more information on that. But maybe you're as good as Nancy Pelosi. The average fund, the average Vanguard account will bring in about 10% year over year. Nancy Pelosi, she beat that. She beat that 10% by a little bit. I mean, not by a lot. She didn't really beat it by all that much, just a little bit more.
Pelosi reportedly raking in more than $130 million in profits from trading stocks during her 37 years in Congress. That's according to a new report by the New York Post. The former House Speaker saw a whopping return of nearly 17,000% while in office, outperforming the Dow. Before taking office in 1987, a Financial Forum showed California Democrat and her husband reporting up to $785,000 worth of stocks in their portfolio. The report comes days after the 85-year-old announced she won't be seeking re-election.
This is the kind of stuff that makes people just hate government.
17,000% margin? That's not a typo. That's real. That's insane. That's such an insane margin that I can't even figure out an example of how to contrast it. Like, if you put in $1, how much did you get? I can't even work it out. 17,000%. The average fund brings in 10%. Yeah, I think it might be time to ban stock trading in Congress. At the very least, we would see how many people head out. But remember, guys, no kings. No kings. Nancy Pelosi making a 17,000% return rate on her stock trades. No kings. Being in office for nearly 50 years. No kings. Oh, right. As soon as she leaves office, her daughter decides to run for state senate.
Hi, I'm Christine Pelosi, attorney, author, advocate,
the chairperson of the California Democratic Party Women's Caucus,
wife, mom, and today a candidate for California State Senate. I'm running to represent you, San Francisco, in Sacramento, fighting for consumer rights, women's rights, gun violence survivors, immigrants, and our most vulnerable communities against the threat we face.
Christine Pelosi is shaking up the sexual harassment debate in Sacramento.
What do we do when our freedoms are under attack?
That's right. After 50 years in Congress, the Pelosi family, they're not done yet, everybody. They're not done. Christine Pelosi is now running for state senator in California. No kings, but apparently princesses are okay. No kings. These people have no shame whatsoever. They have no sense of reality. They don't understand the world in which they are living. No kings. This comes, and this is a real sentence. It actually blows my mind. Did you know that right now there's a possibility of 2 more legacy families in America, sending people to elected office somewhere in the state of New York? That's a real sentence. Chelsea Clinton is considering a run for Congress, and the Kennedys are putting forth a new Kennedy to run for office. So we got the Pelosi's, we got the Kennedys, we got the Clintons. No kings. No kings. You guys have no shame whatsoever. Oh, fun fact, though. Did you guys know that ice is literally everywhere? We're going to get to that in a second. Before we do that, here's Jeremy.
Hey, everybody. How you doing? Well, it's that time of year again, isn't it? My favorite time of year. Fall. Oh, I love the leaves. I love the autumn smell. I love the pumpkins. I love it all right before the snow flies. But what I don't love that comes with the cold weather and the fall weather is the flu, are the sniffles, the cold, all those common cold sniffles that you get every year. And if you have kids in the house, little kids going to and fro school, and they're coming back and they're touching everything and they're bringing the bacteria and all those viruses home from school, you don't want anything to do with that. You want to be proactive rather than reactive. That's why we're going to talk about propolis today. You know what propolis is? Well, ladies and gentlemen, propolis is what works as a barrier to keep the beehive absolutely safe. And what am I talking about? Well, Beekeepers Naturals. Now, my wife really turned me on to this. This is an endorsement of my wife and then myself as well. Beekeepers Naturals, folks, that is exactly what this is. This is a proactive rather than a reactive, all natural, all clean alternative to big food and big pharma. You've got your Beekeepers vitamin C packs, which are perfect for on the go, right? You've got your Beekeepers Propolis nasal spray. A few shots up the nose, clears out your nostrils, cleans any congestion that you have, and it's all natural, and it's going to work as a proactive barrier to any of that unwanted bacteria getting in. How about the Beekeepers All Natural Propolis Immune Throat Spray? 3 or 4 pumps of that a day, and anything that you're breathing in is going to be either repelled or killed right away. That's the amazing thing about Propolis, and that is the amazing thing about Beekeepers Naturals. And I got a 20% discount for you. What's better than that? 20% discount. Look, you can even get the throat soothing pops and the kids prebiotic fiber pops, along with the throat spray, along with the nasal spray, along with the vitamin C packs. Folks, they've got it all, and it's an all-natural, clean, beautiful option for you to have in order to, get away from the big food, get away from the big pharma, and go more natural, especially with a 20% discount. How can you not go to Beekeepers Naturals today /LFA and get your 20% discount? Clean out your medicine cabinet today with beekeepers.com/LFA. And now back to the show.
So, guys, ICE is all over the country. ICE is rounding up illegal immigrants and throwing them out of the country. So much so that they've even hit the Hawaiian Islands. That's right. That's right. It turns out that actually, fun fact, Hawaii has a tremendous number of illegal immigrants living there. And after I show you this clip, I'll tell you exactly why.
ICE. According to a post on their Facebook page, Kauai County says a total of 44 people were arrested as a result of 6 federal search warrants that were executed at multiple homes and 1 business on the Garden Isle. Kauai County says among those arrested were 2 suspected associates of the foreign terrorist organization Tren de Aragua, based in Venezuela.
But how do so many illegal immigrants get to Hawaii? I'm going to tell you, and this is actually a wild story. Somebody that worked on a cruise ship told me this once. This is years ago. This wasn't even in the context of illegal immigration. If you take a cruise that stops off in Hawaii, this is wild. If somebody gets fired from a cruise ship, for whatever reason it may be, if they get fired from a cruise ship and they land, whatever port they land at next, the cruise ship just dumps them off. All right, you're fired. Figure out a way home. So Hawaii, shockingly enough, has got a shitload of illegal immigrants because cruises that go from L.A. to the West Coast to Hawaii, or any cruise that ports in Hawaii, just dumps off all their fired workers and says, bye-bye, not our problem anymore. Which is a wild sentiment, which is a wild thing. But ICE continues to be bolstered not only by this administration, but by the people of America, who now know that ICE can be allowed to do their jobs. So much so that over 200,000 people have applied to work for ICE since this administration started.
Because you got over 200,000 applications in. Tell us how quickly, how many of those you're going to take, and how quickly can you get them on the street? Because you need a lot of backup right now.
We do. But our goal is to make sure that we can hire 10,000 that we promised the American people. We get more folks out on the street. But one thing is we're not sacrificing our training standards or our hiring standards, right? We're going to make sure that we're getting the best of the best out there. Luckily, we have a lot of former federal law enforcement, current federal law enforcement, current state and local police that want to join the ICE mission because they want to feel like they're working for an agency that respects them and allows them to do their job, unlike a lot of these sanctuary jurisdictions where we're getting recruits from. So you're going to see an increase in our numbers, but we're still going to be that premier law enforcement agency we've always been.
I love seeing it. Look, if you're in one of these sanctuary cities like New York and you've got law enforcement training, there's almost no reason why you wouldn't leave the NYPD and go join ICE. At least you know for the next 3 years, at the very least, you're going to be able to do your job without being chastised at every level. Good. Get more of them, baby. Get more. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Giddy up. Let's go. Guys, we're going to be back in. I got one funny story out of Georgia and then one absolutely vile disgusting story out of Minnesota. We'll be there back in 1 second. Here's My Pillow.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 20% on our brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one I've worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get our 2025 six-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our first ever mega sale. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship is sailed because right now, every order ships absolutely free.
Guys, head on over to MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD, for up to 80% off everything on the website. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. Giddy up, let's go. We are rocking. We are rolling. Once again, guys, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. Share it out all over the place. We are rocking. We are rolling here. Guys, make sure you keep it locked into LFA TV all day long. So, a cop in Georgia is under investigation because he did not allow, he stood up for the rights of women and didn't allow a transgender man to go into a women's bathroom. Now, when I show you this may come as a shock to some of you, because I was unaware that Brian May from Queen had transitioned. I didn't know that. I didn't know that Brian May had transitioned, but I guess, you learn something new every day.
The restroom, the women's restroom, like I have been for months, if not years, never had any issues.
Sarah Swinson is a regular at the Tucker Reed Kofer Library. She says after she used the ladies' room on October 20th, a DeKalb police officer on hand for early voting confronted her.
He says, "Excuse me, sir," so misgendering me right away. "You're not a woman. That's obvious."
Swinson says she tried explaining to the officer that she's a transgender woman, but he got angry.
"This is a police matter. There are women and little girls in there, and I have to protect them."
She says it ended up causing a scene in the middle of the library, and she tried to de-escalate.
Finally, I just nodded, and he walked off, and I was very thankful.
The next day, she emailed library staff, who she says reached out to DeKalb County Police.
The library filed the complaint on my behalf.
There aren't any Georgia laws banning transgender people from using bathrooms aligning with their gender identity. DeKalb PD says its internal affairs unit is actively investigating the incident, but offering few details. A spokesperson said the department, quote, remains dedicated to treating all members of our community with dignity, respect, and professionalism.
Look, you're not going to tell me that's not Brian May. I mean, use your eyes, people. Also, come on, the voice? Really? Really? I don't know. I don't want to be a dick. Oh. Poor choice of words. Come on. What are we doing here? If you're going to transition, at least put some effort in. I don't think that's asking a lot. Guys, we got one more story coming up. Come on, I'm going to put the live chat up here. Tell me that don't, for my music fans, tell me that don't look like Brian May. Right? It does, doesn't it? I apologize to all my 80s rock fan friends, but next time you watch Bohemian Rhapsody, that's all you're going to see is Brian May being denied bathroom services at a polling location in suburban Georgia. It does. It does, doesn't it? When I saw the story, that's the first thing I thought of. Carol, you like that? Put in some effort. Please, Steve Davis said it looks like Jerry Garcia. It's not getting better. I'll tell you what, he's looking like He's looking like uglier and uglier men. We started with Brian May, then we got the Jerry Garcia. I don't know. But if you guys found that episode a little bit weird, get ready for this one. Strap in, baby. You ever go to a hotel? You ever go to a hotel and you pull up the sheets and you think to yourself, how clean are these sheets? How clean are these sheets actually? Well, if you stay at a hotel in Minnesota, you may find out that the sheets in that hotel may have a bit of a whiff to them, a bit of an odor, a bit of a chlorine type smell, and that's because...
And saw bed sheets being thrown into the guest hot tub.
At first I thought maybe it was down, the drain was broke, they couldn't get it, you know, they were trying to soak up the water. But then he's still adding more in there. I'm just like, what is going on?
They said they watched an employee dump sheets in and mix it around with a broom.
That's disgusting. I'm like, you're kidding. Like, are we sleeping on those sheets? You know, like, I was really disgusted.
Hot tubs are heavily chlorinated, but due to the high presence of bodily fluids, they can create a breeding ground for bacteria.
Just sitting in one, you know, and with that heat, your skin will just literally come off.
The family contacted hotel management looking for answers.
I did leave the video there and let them know how kind of disgusted I was, knowing that I'm sleeping in sheets that are washed in a hot tub.
In a recorded phone call, an employee said these are not dirty sheets. They're washed beforehand and are put into the hot tub to get stains out.
The sheets are then put into the hot tub, and then it gets out tiny little stains. The hot tub is drained. It is really heavily cleaned with a huge deep cleaner.
I could say so many things. What stain are you getting out in a hot tub that a washing machine can't get out? Also, whoever did this news report, I want to thank you for saying that hot tubs contain a lot of bodily fluid. Like, don't set me up for that kind of a joke. Don't set me up, because I'm a child at the end of the day, and there's no way I can let that slide. There's no way. Guys, I'll catch you back 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Hannah Faulkner is coming up next. Enjoy that hot tub story for the rest of your day. Until tomorrow, everybody, stay loud.